to the very purpose of why we exist. We exist for His glory. We are created in the image and likeness of God in order that when we live our life, people will see God in us and glorify our Creator. It's not about us being happy. The truth is we are the happiest, if there's the correct English, when we are most submissive in Him. That is the truth. The more submissive we are, the more dependent we are on God, the more content we'll be in life. But guess what? The devil say, no. Don't believe. That's the lie. Look at all your friends. They live this way, they live, and they're so happy. That's what you think. Sabi nga I really believe that, I read this. The loneliest people in high school, they say, are the beautiful and handsome. I know that from experience. I know that I do. I mean, observing them from experience. No, but that's what they say. Kasi ang ganda-ganda nila eh, di ba? Lahat parang, but honestly, when they go home, they feel so alone. I feel like crying now. Remembering these things. No, I'm just joking. But the thing is, when Satan, he's crafty nga eh. He wants to create chaos. When he spoke that, he avoid mentioning the flip side of the story, right? Like the contract ba? Yung sign na the contract, you don't see the finer print. In fact, the finer print might be in another page which they will not send you. They didn't tell us the other side, that when you eat of that fruit, you will have your fellowship with God will be broken. You will be expelled from the Garden of Eden. You will experience death. Go to James, please. James chapter 1. James chapter 1, verse 14. It says, but each one is tempted when he is carried away and enticed. The word enticed there means drag away. It is a metaphor. The disciples, the people at that time, they're either shepherds or fishermen. Diba? Yung mga typical job dati. So the metaphors, the words that are used typically at that time, when God was speaking to them, was words that they would relate to. So the word entice there is a metaphor for fishing. The bait in the fisherman's hook would entice the fish. And once hooked, the fish would be dragged away. That is the imagery there. That the picture of Satan casting a net full of sin that entices us, and the moment that we bite into it, he will drag us in. That is the meaning and the metaphor of that word. So it says there, but each one is tempted when he's carried away and enticed. The devil will entice us with a lot of things. O gusto mo ba ng kilawin? Hindi mo type. Gusto mo ba ng Red Horse beer? Hindi mo type. Gusto mo ba ng paksiw na lechon? Ayan, type ko. He would entice you with different things to to bait you and drag you in. So enticed by his own lust. Lust is longing for what God has prohibited. That's what the devil does. He was enticing Eve. He was giving her a bait so that once she bits into it, she would be dragged away from God. And the relationship between God and Eve and Adam would be chaotic. It's almost like in parallel. It's like taking shabu. You take shabu, all of a sudden your relationship with your family is strained. You're enticed and now it's being strained and pulled apart. Go to Hebrews chapter 11, please. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 25 says, and this is talking about Moses, choosing rather to endure ill treatment with the people of God than to enjoy the passing pleasures of sin. As I mentioned, two things. One is sin is pleasurable. Alam mo, wala bang sin na whenever you do it, parang nahampas ka ng pader eh. No. Then you would really not do it. Right? You do it because there is benefit, there is pleasure in sin. But as I mentioned earlier, sin is pleasure, by the way, but that pleasure is passing. And second thing I said is sin could be what? Logical. In the case of Moses here, he was the daughter of Pharaoh. He had all the privilege. He had all the advantage. He was of high rank, of high influence, had political power. And to remain there per se is not sinful naman eh. And Moses was supposed to be the next Pharaoh. Because the Pharaoh at that time, really, the power behind that Pharaoh is the mother of Moses. So the Pharaoh at that time was insecure of Moses. That's why when Moses killed, honestly, during especially that time, if you kill somebody and you're the son of the Pharaoh, guess what? You get away with it. Really? Now nga eh, it happens to our country. What more Pharaoh? You're the son or the daughter or the son. You will be acquitted. But kay Moses, hinanapan, binantayan niya eh. Binabantayan kaya nakita pinatay eh. Because the Pharaoh was insecure. That's why when he killed, sabi, guilty ka. We'll kill you. To protect, and that's also common during that time, right? Yung mga emperor, they're killing their brothers and their sisters because of their inferiority. So, if he just doesn't rock the boat and the Pharaoh eventually dies, chances are siya aakyat eh. Si Moses. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, you can validate in your mind that, I just stay here because by staying here in power, I'll be able to influence more people. Pwede naman yun ang logic eh. It's logical eh. By remaining here, I'll be able to represent. And no one knows I'm protecting my Jewish people who are really my brothers, right? And I'll be able to provide them fruit, guaranteed, and protection. No one will harm them and no one knows. Right? I'll be able to preserve them. In fact, that's why nga he killed that day. He wanted to fight for them. He was already trying to protect. And he could justify that. It's very logical. And we hear sometimes, dito na lang dito sa side ng mga madilim. But I'll try to influence them. I don't want to discuss any details, but what I'm saying is, in this case, I think may lusot. Pwedeng lusotan to eh. Wala naman siyang ginagawang sin. Right? On that thing. So it could be logical. Yet, he chose to renounce it and align himself with a depraved group that's being persecuted, the Israelites. When God has spoken to him to lead his people out, remaining as a son will be a sin. No matter how logical and sensible his argument is. Especially if I'm the son of Pharaoh, or the daughter of Pharaoh. Guess what? I have a lot of yes boys. Oh, Moses, you're right. Lahat ng tao around Duterte, chances are, majority dyan, yes boys, yes boys, yes boys. And if he would lay his argument, which is sound, I can help more people here, Bob. I can pass legislations to preserve them, to allow them access here, to give them equal rights as Jews. Slowly, in that span of 20 years, they will not be slaves, we will just get another, because I'll be the head. All right, fine. But the moment God spoke, if he remains, he's in sin. Even if he stayed and was successful in liberating the Jews for a time, even if he stayed there and his name now is immortalized in Egypt as the greatest pharaoh or ruler that ever lived, that's nothing. Even though it's logical and pleasurable, that's nothing because God has spoken. And that's the problem with some of us. We seek advice. We seek godly advice. We hear godly advice. We don't agree. We seek another one. Until we find a pastor who will say, yeah, we agree. Not with Moses. He was dependent on God, on the direction and future of his life. Willing, to the point, he was so dependent, to the point that he was willing to make his life for naught. Okay lang to sacrifice, di ba, for the Lord? 1 month. Oh, laban, 6. But to his commitment, all in, sabi nga eh, there's this photo, ham and egg sandwich, right? You saw that, right? There's a chicken and a pig. And they said, the chicken said, oh, why are you so sweating? Saying ham and egg sandwich. Oh, to you, it's a partial commitment, sabi ni pig. For me, it's total commitment. Yung chicken, kasi kailangan mong itlog lang, yung buhay pa rin siya eh. For that to be a ham sandwich, I gotta die. Sa akin, ikaw partial commitment, ako full commitment. Are you willing to become like pigs? Maganda rin message pa rin. Are you willing to become like pigs? And that's what Moses did. He decided to be dependent on God. Trusting that the wisdom of God, though it makes no sense to him or to people around him, is the most logical sense. Because he is God. Right? Verse 6. Ito na. As expected, when the woman saw the tree was good for food, and that it was a delight to the eyes, and that the tree was desirable to one make wise, she took from its fruit and ate, and she gave it also to the husband with her, and he ate. Claro. We know what's going on here. Ako, nung binabasa ko to, in fact, this morning, normally I make, my message preparation literally starts tonight and ends like today at 8:20 in the morning. Like non-stop. And I just wrote this point kanina eh. Sabi ko, but clearly we know what's going on here. First, it's not the first time for Eve to see the fruit.